Theory work, thus, does not just precede the production of anthropological texts as a mode of communication to colleagues, but surrounds this professional context on all sides. Indeed, the creation of concepts and theories occurs significantly in the field, or in Michel Collon's terms, in the wild, and circulate as prototypes among diverse publics before they ever reach colleagues through publication. Professional discussions of research in anthropology seem increasingly to define themselves in the middle of projects without making the dimensions of research clear enough. Anthropological knowledge is at the same time expert knowledge and publicly recognized as such. The question is, what forms of representation in the contemporary, in the tradition of writing culture, what forms of representation in the contemporary make this so? And how are these forms of representation synonymous with method? How then do we sustain or morph the regulative ideals of ethnographic writing in relationship to, and more importantly, within the fieldwork experience itself, operating as research in the world? So writing culture beyond the private archives of field notes is somehow synonymous with and publicly implicated in the messy track of contemporary fieldwork that is both dwelling and moving. But just how? What is unique to ethnography, I believe, is the building of its ideas and its concepts and theories from those of its subjects and found partners in fieldwork. In this sense, theory is a primary form of data, not its result. But as such, it must be located in the sites and situations of fieldwork. This requires dialogic forms of reception that the anthropologist has to make, stage, design, and incorporate into classic notions of fieldwork. By the way, a kind of skill that anthropologists don't in the past have at all, or much of, maybe natural skills, and the production of ethnographic texts from them. How all this can be staged, mediated, and circulated in a quote-unquote standard project of contemporary anthropological research is a matter of keen interest to me, as I've emphasized in recent writing and tried to subject to experiment at a modest center for ethnography at my university. So my impulse is to push the production of ethnography, its published texts, back into the contemporary experience of constructing the field of fieldwork. And this needs its forms and norms for remediating the textual forms that we have, making them performative and more actively interventionist in part, and rescaling the classic regulative ideals of ethnographic method themselves. So forms of enactment, emplacement, and textuality within and alongside fieldwork are what I'm after. Appearing to become theater, performance, or experimental in the aesthetic sense on one hand, or the studio work of designers on the other, these alliances create the forms for achieving the distinctively historic, analytic, and theoretical ends of anthropological inquiry as these have evolved since the 1980s.